Although I'd consider myself a calisthenics fanatic, I definitely can't hide my admiration for both bodybuilding and Chris Bumstead. As someone who's been programming and coaching calisthenics since 2016, I couldn't help myself digging up Chris's program. As such, I've completely revamped his program to fit someone who wants to build the most muscle with calisthenics exercises only. Now let me take you through the exact process of how I did it. So this is the program that we're working with in its weightlifting form. It's also worth mentioning that Chris has possibly switched from this program shown on screen. But professionally speaking, this layout is still extremely effective. Now, let's begin the optimization process for a calisthenics athlete. Let's start with the first push workout. We can swap out the bench press for either a weighted push-up or decline push-up. Ideally, you do this with a weighted vest. But if you have access to some weight plates, that could also work. Since there are also prescribed heavy and moderate sets, we'll also adjust the weight accordingly as we proceed through the sets. Obviously, calisthenics is a bit different if you're purely training with your body weight. So feel free to use exercise techniques such as a slower tempo or pulses to quicken fatigue. Instead of the alternating dumbbell shoulder press, we'll do either assisted handstand push-ups or pike push-ups as an alternative. To deepen range of motion, you could also use rings. Next, we have a superset. The number one alternative for chest flies would be ring flies. To sub in for the tricep extensions, we can simply do tricep extensions on the bar or on the ground. Now, making a direct swap for lateral raises is quite tricky with calisthenics. I've always said isolating the medial delts is a big weakness for us. So in this situation, we can either do another compound exercise such as diamond push-ups or stick to the lateral raises with something you can find at home. Thankfully, you don't need heavy weight to do this exercise, so if you can find at least 3-5 kg of working weight, you'll be fine. I know it's not going to be 100% calisthenics if you do so, but I believe hybriding in this format is the best for building muscle. The last exercise are dips. No swaps are needed here. You can also do this weighted if you like. Moving on to the first pull workout, we have pull downs. Pull-ups will obviously be the go-to in this situation. Since Chris has prescribed a drop set here, you can also use bands in your last set. We all know vertical exercises are king in calisthenics, but many people forget to program horizontal pulling into their routine. So to swap out bent over rows, we can do L-sit front lever pull-ups. But if this exercise is too difficult, weighted Australian pull-ups will also work. For bicep isolation work, we can swap out the incline curls to ring curls. But if you don't have access to a pair of rings, you can do any kind of supinated pulling variation such as chin-ups or Australian chin-ups. We don't need to swap pull-ups, but if you're fatigued at this point in the workout, you can do Australian wide pull-ups. For the last curling variation, we're going to do Australian bodyweight curls as an alternative. Getting into the first leg workout in this program, we all know building our legs is also another weakness in calisthenics training. Intensity is key, but as long as you're finding a way to make the exercise is more difficult, you'll be good. In respect of that, we'll swap the lunges for Bulgarian split squats. I know some of you are moaning at that fact, but that's exactly what we need. To replace the RDLs or deadlifts, I'm going to swap in Nordic curls. When done correctly, this exercise can absolutely torch your hamstrings. For the hip thrusts, we can simply do the bodyweight version of this on the ground. And to make this more difficult, we can add a plate if possible. Seated calf raises can be swapped out for bent knee calf raises. Notably, the last 4 sets of this exercise will be supersetted with the hamstring curls. I'll replace this with hamstring walkouts. Getting into the second push workout, we have a close grip bench press. We will do weighted diamond or close push-ups as an alternative. Similarly to the first push workout, we will swap the standing barbell press to assisted handstand push-ups or elevated pike push-ups. Ring flies will also substitute pec deck flies again. For the overhead triceps exercise, we will do weighted tricep extensions on the bar. Again, the lateral raises can be swapped out for another compound exercise or be done originally with something you can find at home. The last exercise is supersetted with the lateral raises. No changes are needed since push-ups take the cake here. Moving on to the second pull day, we are getting into a workout a bit more volume packed. We will keep the standard pull-ups, but we will also stick to having this exercise as warm-up sets. Rack pulls are very easy to replace if you have the strength. My favorite exercise being the front lever raise will take the stand here. For hammer curls, neutral pull-ups would be the direct replacement. Of course, this is a compound exercise, so feel free to use a band to focus on contraction. We can replace the reverse grip rows or pull downs with either Australian chin-ups or traditional chin-ups. Cable curls can be swapped for Australian bodyweight curls. Cable rows can be swapped for either close or neutral Australian pull-ups. The dumbbell curls will be replaced by ring curls or close Australian chin-ups. And lastly, running the rack is quite impossible to do with calisthenics. So in this situation, you can burn yourself out with Australian wide or normal chin-ups until you reach 30-40 reps. Now we have finally made it to the last leg workout. Squats will be replaced with hovering squats to make the exercise slightly more difficult. The leg press variation will be swapped for Bulgarian split squats. The hip adductors can be replaced by either lateral lunges or an adductor plank. No changes are needed for the standing calf raises, and quad extensions can be swapped for walking lunges until you cannot walk anymore. There you have it. it. A completely revamped Chris Bumstead program that is mostly calisthenics if you're not doing the lateral raises. Everything more or less follows the same format of the original program. And if I were to prescribe this to a client, I wouldn't hesitate to say that it would be absolutely killer. If you guys haven't joined the private Discord yet, I'd highly encourage you to do so, as we have programs just like this all laid out for you. In fact, we have about 28 programs in there at the moment, with much more to come. Along with programs, you get exclusive guides and tools to help you achieve whatever fitness goal you may have. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.